We're starting Ezras Hashem Siman Nun Zayin, Vayoel Moshe. And the question is about this Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says in Ma'aser Sheni, Perakei Mishnah Beis, that the Binyan Beis and Mikdash will be before Malchus Beis David. So just before we start learning the Siman, I want to go over that there are three Perushim. One of them we had before, it was the Tosfos Yom Tov, and we talked about it in Siman Nun Hey. But there are two other ways to learn that I found, at least, that explain this Yerushalmi. And then we'll understand better what the Siman is about. So take a look here. I brought the Yerushalmi in page 1 of the Maamar Mekoyim sheets. It starts with a Mishnah here. Kerem Ravai, the Paris of the 4th year of a vineyard. Just put it down a little bit so I can see it also. Vayoel Yerushalayim Mahalach Yom Echad B'chol Tzad. That there was a takana that people, even though midiraisa you're allowed to be poida, you're allowed to redeem the fruits and then bring the money to Yerushalayim, just like Ma'aser Sheni. But the Rabbanan made a takana at some point during Ma'aser Sheni that people should bring the payers themselves to Yerushalayim if they're within 1 day's journey of Yerushalayim. Okay, and then the Mishnah says what distance that is, how far away, what cities are considered the 1 day's journey, and then it says Umisharabu haperis hiskinu shi'ehei nifte samuch l'choyma. They made a takana that you could redeem your Ma'aser Sheni any place outside the wall, even next to the wall. Okay, like the deraisa. U'tanai haya b'davar, and they made a tanai. They made a condition when they made this takana. A masai sheyirtzu yachzor davar l'kamoy shehaya. That whenever the bezdin of that generation decides, they can put it back to the original takana. So the Tanakh was holding that when there were too many fruits in Yerushalayim, that's why they made the takana that you shouldn't bring it up. But they said you could bring it, you could make the takana back whenever you want. Rabbi Yosi Mishachar based on Mikdash Haya Tanai. That the Tanai Hazeh, this Tanai started from the Churban. That when, in other words, up to the Churban, you had to bring it up from 1 day's journey. After the Churban, no, you redeem it next to the wall. Utanai Haya a Masai Shibana based on Mikdash. That whenever the base of Mikdash gets built, it will automatically revert back to the way it was. So take a look in the Yerushalmi itself down here. Amar Rabbi Acha, Zoyster Meresh, based on Mikdash Asti Lihibanos Koydam Lamachus based David.
Oh yeah, this is a Zari Kawan Zionist argument that the other base Mikdash first.
Right. So the base of Mikdash will be built before Mashiach comes.
Yeah, but it is a going against the Bavli, which says otherwise.
Right. There's a kasha on the Bavli in Yuma, Daf Hey base that he brought in Siman Nun Hey, that basically the Gemara says that when the base of Mikdash is rebuilt, Moshe and Aaron will be there to answer our questions, and we won't have a problem how to put on the big day Kahuna. So you see that it's going to be after Bias HaMashiach and Tchias HaMesim, at least the Tchias HaMesim of the Tzadikim.
Yeah. So but anyhow, we go like the Bavli always over the Yerushalmi.
Right. But anyway, we're going to try to find a way
why the Yerushalmi have this Maamar.
Right, and to make the Yerushalmi fit with the Bavli if possible.
Yeah.
Take a look, turn the page in the Yerushalmi, one more line. Tichsiv v'dam einav tishteh chamer. The source for saying that the base of Mikdash will be built before Mashiach is this pasuk. V'dam einav, the blood of the grapes, tishteh chamer. They'll drink. The Yidden, it's talking about the future of the Yidden. It's Hazinu. He's predicting all the things that are going to happen. So one of the things is that they'll drink wine, and it'll be tishteh chamer. It'll be very expensive wine, very good wine. V'zoy meres v'at amrat hachi, and you say this. And that's the end of the shtickle in the Yerushalmi. So what is this Yerushalmi? It's very hard to learn Yerushalmi by yourself because the words are very difficult to understand. So look in the Pnei Moshe commentary on the Yerushalmi, written by someone who was a Rebbe of the Gra, I believe, and he says,
"Well, the Yerushalmi was written so late, not the Yerushalmi the right Yerushalmi. The
Yerushalmi didn't write, no. So
because the Yerushalmi of Judah Yerushalmi is not too practical like the Bavli is. Is that
not practical, and it wasn't learned. And not only that, not all the Rishonim even had a copy of the Yerushalmi. You see that a lot of times Tosfos brings the Yerushalmi, but Rashi doesn't bring it because it doesn't seem like Rashi had every Yerushalmi. It wasn't copied and written and found in the Batei Midrashim.
Right, so she wasn't nearly.
In fact, you know what? I think they even say that all our Yerushalmis today come from one copy of the Yerushalmi that was written in the Middle Ages sometime. So it wasn't a very common sefer. So take a look at Pnei Moshe, Bitmiyah This is the kasha that Rabbi asks. So he says, he's asking a kasha. He's asking a question on Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah. Al Dekama, that Rabbi Yossi said that that the Tanai will, whenever Beis Hamikdash gets built, that's when it will go back. Hare zoisoi meres, but from this pasuk v'dam ein of tishta chamer, we can derive the mi'amikra azeh the binyan Beis Hamikdash la'asidiyah koydem she's pashit malchus Beis David. The Beis Hamikdash will be built before the kingdom of Mashiach spreads. It's important to note. He says the word spread. We're going to see. Vayoel Moshe also says that. So koydem she's pashit malchus Beis David b'Yerushalayim. Before the malchus Beis David has taken over Yerushalayim, you're telling me that as soon as the Beis Hamikdash is built, which is early in the process of Mashiach, already it's going to be unnecessary. It's going to be necessary to bring the fruits to Yerushalayim. To beautify the marketplace of Yerushalayim with lots of fruit. Why is it important? Why do we care about making it beautiful until Yerushalayim has been at peace and under the kingship of Mashiach? That's not going to happen until Mashiach finishes conquering the Ummos. So he's saying that this Reb Acha is not deriving something from Rabbi Yossi. He's asking a question on Rabbi Yossi. He's saying, we have a pasuk v'dam ein of tishta chamer, which I'm not going to go into it now, how that teaches us that the Beis Hamikdash is built first. The Pnei Moshe explains that on the next page if you want to look. Anytime, in your free time, you can read this. Pnei Moshe here, he explains how the pasuk teaches it. But the point is that once the pasuk teaches us that Beis Hamikdash is built before Mashiach, he has a kasha on Rabbi Yossi, that how could Rabbi Yossi say that as soon as the Beis Hamikdash is built, you have to have Paris in Yerushalayim? No, Mashiach hasn't conquered Yerushalayim yet, so it's not going to be important to beautify the marketplace. That's how he learns the Yerushalmi. Okay, and then the Ridvaz, on the other side of the Yerushalmi, it's Rabbi Yaakov David Wilovsky, right?
He was really very late Akram.
Very late, from Slutsk.
Yeah, there are pictures of him. Yeah, there are pictures of him even.
He lived in Slutsk and he came to Chicago in the middle of his life, and then he decided it wasn't a good environment to live in, so he moved to Tzfas. He lived in Tzfas. And he was nifter at late 1800s, I think. So take a look. He says, Talmidei Hagra Zal Kasvu Datnai Haya Shekeshi Bana Beis Hamikdash Tachsar Limkoimo Hatakana V'Haksiv V'Dam Einav Tishta Chamer V'Imkein Yeh Navim Merubais. He's saying, you, Rabbi Yossi, you're telling me that as soon as the Beis Hamikdash is built, you have to bring the Paris to Yerushalayim. No. The Haksiv, it says in the pasuk, V'dam einav tishta chamer, that in Yemos Mashiach we're going to have lots of wine. There's going to be a lot of grapes. Why do you have to have a takana? There's anyway going to be a lot of fruit in Yerushalayim. El avadai, the Beis Hamikdash yeh koydem l'malchus Beis David. V'yeh navim me'utim. But so rather it must be that Zoysa Meres, this teaches us that the Beis Hamikdash will be built before Malchus Beis David, and that's how he sees it from the Mishnah. So he's saying it from the Mishnah, but he's saying it a different way. He's saying it's not because of what the Tosfos Yom Tov said. I'm going to get to that back to that in a minute. But he says the pshat is that the Rabbi Yossi says Mishachar Beis Hamikdash. There was a Tanai, as soon as the Tanai was that when Beis Hamikdash gets built, you have to bring the Paris to Yerushalayim. So that teaches us that it has to be that before the spreading of Mashiach's kingdom, there will be a Beis Hamikdash. Because if it's only after, then you don't need to have Paris in Yerushalayim because you already have a lot of Paris.
Wait, so originally to kind of.
Okay, so that's the second shot in the Yerushalmi, and then the third shot is the Tosfos Yom Tov that we discussed earlier. And when Siman Nun Hey, Tosfos Yom Tov said that the Yerushalmi means that the problem is like this: if the Beis Hamikdash is built and Mashiach comes, there's going to be Eliyahu and Moshe Rabbeinu and great people are going to be able to make the Takana. So why do they have to make a Tanai that it should automatically pop back up when the Beis Hamikdash is built? So Elamai, that shows you that it must be the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built before Mashiach and before these great people have come back to life.
Again, it's still not like the Rambam says, because the Rambam says that Mashiach will do it.
Oh, so that doesn't shim with the Rambam, but we're going to see he's going to make the other two ways to learn the Yerushalmi yashtim with the Rambam. Take a look. Omnam be'emes. We're starting by Vayoel Moshe now. Omnam be'emes midivrei Yerushalmi be'atzmoi. From the Yerushalmi itself, without the Tosfos Yom Tov Pshat, efshela hashvoisam b'li machlekes. You could make it fit with the Bavli without any dispute. Why? Ki af achar bias ben David loy tishpashet malchusoi ad sheyachzir kol Yisrael b'tshuva. That Mashiach will come, but he hasn't yet finished his job of making all the Yidden do tshuva. So he says, "Ukvar hevesi midivrei Rambam." The Rambam says in Malachim Yud Aleph Daled, it says, "Siman Rishon." The first sign of identifying Mashiach is Imhu Melech Mashiach, who sheyachzir kol Yisrael l'das emes. That he's going to make all the Yidden do tshuva. Im kain ein lahamin boy terem klal terem sheyachzir kol Yisrael l'tshuva. You can't believe that he's Mashiach until he does this. Right. So even when Mashiach's here, as long as he hasn't done the job of being Machzir Kol Yisrael B'Tshuva, he doesn't have a kingship yet. People aren't makir him. A person can't be a melech unless everybody's makir him. Everybody agrees that he's a melech. So he's not going to be melech and Mashiach at the beginning. So therefore, he can't have a melucha. The Maamar says on the Psukim in Yechezkel, we're going to see in a second, that Shebetchilas Yisgalas Melech HaMashiach, at the beginning when he's revealed, Lo Yeh Eloi Melucha. He won't have a kingship. Ad Sheyachzir Kol Yisrael B'Tshuva. Take a look, Malbim, page 3 in the sheets. Yechezkel, Lamed Daled, Pasuk Chaf Gimel, says, V'Achimoisi Aleim Roya Echad, I'll establish over them a shepherd, and he will take care of them. Eis Avdi David, and that shepherd will be my servant David, which is Mashiach. Hu Yira Oisam, he will take care of the Jewish people. V'hu Yelohem L'Roya, he will be for them a shepherd. Okay, and the Maamar says that these are different stages here. He says, "V'achimoisi nibe she'achar sheyishpoi Hashem v'yira Oisam be'atzmoi." The Maamar says it will happen in 3 stages. The first stage is Hu Yira Oisam. He will pasture them. He will take care of them. The first step is forced following the Torah. Like the Rambam says, Sheyachuf is Israel. So he says, Lachuf Oisam Sheyasu Mishpat Tzedakah. The second stage is Hu Yelohem L'Roya. He will be their shepherd. They will accept willingly his leadership. And he'll be their leader, not a king, but like a leader with their willingness. The third step is the next pasuk. Then this Mashiach will be a nasi. Nasi is already like a melech. So he says, "Yikablu aleim malchus shamayim u'malchus Hashem tisgala ad sheyeh lohem le'elokim v'avdi David ya'ala b'madregas roya." He'll go up from the level of a shepherd, l'madregas nasi. He'll go to the level of a king. Shehu yeh hamelech haMashiach. All right. So after the tshuva process, then he goes up to being a melech. Okay. So back to the Sefer now. So. V'im kain, if so, that it could be at the beginning when Mashiach's first here, but he hasn't had the chance to make everybody do tshuva yet, and people aren't makabel him as a melech. But there's already a little tchias amesim at that point. The first tchias amesim where the tzaddikim get up. So Moshe and Aaron are here, and Eliyahu Navi is obviously here because he has to come before Mashiach. V'adayin lo nispashit malchus beis David. But his kingship has not yet been spread, and he hasn't taken power yet. So that's what the Yerushalmi means. Yerushalmi means the Beis Hamikdash will be built at that stage, not when he's powerful already, but when he's still in the process of making everybody do tshuva.
The Rambam list Kibbutz Goy is the last step, which means that the whole thing wasn't done yet.
Oh, but the Rambam does say Beis Hamikdash is part of the second step. In other words, he says first he's going to make everybody do tshuva, and then he has a chezkes Mashiach. Then if he goes on and he's mekabet nidchei Israel and he builds the Beis Hamikdash, that's the second step. So the Rambam says later. So this is taka not going to shtim with the Rambam, because the Rambam says later. Right? Here he's saying
so it's still not going with the Rambam, but we see that the Rambam clearly was going to Bavli,
Oh.
Since we go like the Bavli or the Yerushalmi all the time.
But what he's saying now is an interesting thing. He's saying that the Yerushalmi and the Bavli don't have to argue. Because this Yerushalmi is saying that at the beginning of Mashiach's appearance, Beis Hamikdash will be built, and who's going to be around then? Moshe and Aaron and everybody, right? So the Bavli says the same thing. The Bavli says when the Beis Hamikdash is built, we're going to have tzaddikim around who are going to be able to answer our questions.
Where's Yerushalmi say it? Where's Yerushalmi say it?
It's Ma'aser Sheni. We just read it.
Yeah.
And so this could stem. They're saying that Yerushalmi and the Bavli don't have to argue. But the Rambam, it's Takachu. The Rambam can't fit with what he's saying now. Okay, Umasha Amru Tchias Mesim Achron Mikulam. This is what it says in the Zohar that he brought in Siman Nun Vav, that the last step is Tchias Mesim. Zeh Kayal Tchias Mesim Kali. That only means the Tchias Mesim of everybody. Shiakumu Kol Yisrael, that all people in the world, all Jewish people will get up. It could be the Goyim also will get up. They'll be punished or rewarded, whatever, according to what they are. But Aval Tzadikim Agadolim, but the great Tzadikim are going to have an early Tchias Mesim, yeah? Yamdu Tchila b'Moisei Mashiach. K'Moishe Huva Sham b'Yefei Soyer. That Yefei Soyer brought down that there'll be a first Tchias Mesim, okay? V'Hevesi Dvar V'Lamala. I brought his words earlier. This is the Yefei Soyer, I think, that he brought in Siman Nun Hey, starting with the paragraph Hinei HaYefei Soyer B'Reishis Rabbah Parsha Chavav. That Yefei Soyer brings about the early Tchias Mesim. Okay, Ukvar Hevesi, I already brought earlier, I think in Siman Memvav, Shebeferish Mavur B'Direi Chazal, or no, he's talking about Eliyahu now. Shebeferish, it's explicit in the words of Chazal, She'Eliyahu Yavoy Rak Im Moshe B'Yachad. The Eliyahu and Navi is going to come together with Moshe. Okay, so but the point that we're saying here is that there's going to be tzaddikim, there's going to be Eliyahu and Moshe by the beginning of Bias HaMashiach when Beis Hamikdash is built, but the full scale Malchus of Mashiach is not going to be till later. Alright. Uvazeh hivanti siddur habrachos b'Gemara Megillah Daf Yud Zayin. That according to this we can understand the order of the brachos of Shmoneh Esrei. And the Rebbe discussed this earlier in Siman Chaf Beis also, right? In Siman Chaf Beis, the Rebbe said that the Kabbalah Shofar Gadol is not talking about gathering the Yidden to Eretz Yisrael, it's talking about gathering them to the Midbar Ha'amim.
Yes, and the Lashon Kibut is not a Lashon of gathering to a place.
He says it doesn't mean to Eretz Yisrael. Okay, but there are other problems in the Gemara Megillah. It's not the only kasha. That it says there, B'nei Yerushalayim, B'li Yerushalayim Yercha Barachim Tashuv, and then the next bracha is Es Tzemach David Avdecha. So he says, Shabirkis Hashiva Shoiftenu Kavari Shoina. Not only that, the bracha of the Shoiftim, the judges, who al Shem Akosti V'Hashiva Shoiftaich, the pasuk in Yeshaya in Aleph, right, in the Haftorah Chazoin, V'Hashiva Shoiftaich Kavari Shoina, V'Yoyatzaich Givat Chila, V'al Yidei Zeh Kalu Aposhim, that through the return of the Shoiftim, the sinners will be destroyed, and the tzaddikim will be lifted up, their pride will be lifted up. V'acher kach nivnes Yerushalayim, and then Yerushalayim is built. V'kivan shnivnes Yerushalayim ba'ad David, and after that, Mashiach comes. Umavur b'medrash Yalkut Shimoini Yeshaya, on this pasuk V'Hashiva Shoiftaich Zeh Moshe v'Yaharon. The Yalkut says on this pasuk that it's referring to Moshe and Aaron. So the counselors are David and Shlomo. So it comes out that that bracha in Shmoneh Esrei, that's very early in Shmoneh Esrei, is already talking about Tchias Mesim of tzaddikim. V'im kein mevur b'siddur habrachos. We see from the order of the brachos, she'iyu etzleinu Moshe v'Aaron David Shlomo v'yitaru es Yisrael v'yivnu es Yerushalayim. That early in the process we're already going to have Moshe and Aaron, David and Shlomo, and they're going to purify the Jewish people and build Yerushalayim. V'achar kach yehei malchus beis David, and only after that you're going to have Mashiach. V'im kein ein stira. Okay, but so the kasha is, what do you mean? Mashiach's not here yet. So the answer is like he said, Mashiach is here, but he's just not king yet. So he says, V'im kein ein stira b'masha omar shebinyan beis hamikdash kodim l'malchus beis David. Now it's not a steer to the Gemara Yuma because we're talking about Binyan Beis Hamikdash at this early stage, and at this stage, Af Sheyu Moshe v'Aaron Binyan Beis Hamikdash, like the Gemara Yuma says that we have Moshe and Aaron. Ve'en Storach Lasis Machlokes. It doesn't mean necessarily that there's a Machlokes Yerushalmi and the Bavli. All right. But the Tosfos Yom Tov doesn't fit with this, because all this that we've been saying is just the Yerushalmi, let's say according to the Pnei Moshe or the Ridvaz, that the Yerushalmi is not saying anything about Chachamim being in there or not at the time of the Binyan Beis Hamikdash. He's just saying a fact that the Binyan Beis Hamikdash will take place before the Malchus Beis David. But according to the Tosfos Yom Tov, the whole point of that Yerushalmi is, why does the Yerushalmi conclude that the Beis Hamikdash will be built before? Because the Yerushalmi is trying to say it will be the time when there won't be any Chachamim there to change the din, to change the din back to the din of Meiser of Kerem Revai Zoel of Yerushalayim. That's the whole point. So there's no way to make that shdim with the Gemara and Yuma. It says, Divrei Tosfos Yom Tov EF Shel Yashav B'Zeh Shahari Pirish Divrei Yerushalmi B'Masha Amar Zois Meres. The Yerushalmi says Zois Meres. This Mishnah teaches Binyan Beis Hamikdash Kohen Malchus Beis David Shehu Mimasha Amar Rabbi Yosi, that it's coming from the Mishnah that Rabbi Yosi said Shat Tnai Haya, that there was a special Tnai made in the Takana Achar Churban She'emasai She'ibane Beis Hamikdash Yachzer Davar L'Kamosh Haya, that they made a Tnai that whenever the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, the Takana will revert back. Why do they need a Tanai? Bezdin Shehu Gadol Mehem, the Bezdin of Moshe and Aaron that is greater than them, and Moshiach and Eliyahu, Yuchlu B'atzmum Levatel as Takanas HaRishonim. They'll be able to annul the Takana.
But the answer is that ain't shof that El Shabbaderecha. I think, is that the case?
No, because he's saying that you can't annul a Takanas Chachamim unless you're greater than that Bezdin.
Right.
Ein lecha el shofet shebiyamecha means to ask a shaila to him. You can ask a shaila to any shofet. But right now we're just saying that you can't be mevatel takana unless you're greater than that bezdin.
And number.
And number and greatness. So here, when Mashiach comes, there for sure going to be enough chacham that could be mevatel the takana. So al korchach. So why do they have to make it tonight? So the al korchach the chashu shema yiyah binyan beis hamikdash b'dar shelo yiyu gedolah mehem. That maybe the beis hamikdash will be built early in the time when there won't be greater people than the people who made the takana. B'imkein sarach liyos shehu koydem the malchus beis David. You have to say that binyan beis hamikdash could be before malchus beis David. So that's irreconcilable with the Gemara and Yuma, because the Gemara and Yuma says there will be Chachamim at the time of Beis Hamikdash to ask this question too. Yeah? If you say like in the Yuma Daf Hey that you can't have the Beis Hamikdash without having Moshe and Aaron, even if you're going to say, okay, fine, it's before the spreading of Mashiach's kingdom. But Lamaisa, they're there now. Moshe and Aaron are there, and they're greater than all the other generations. They could be Mevatel Takana. So you can't reconcile this. The Yerushalmi's commentators explain other ways, like we just saw. The Pnei Moshe and the Ridvaz have different ways to learn it. Shali Bayu, according to them, Efshel Yashiv Kanal. We could say the teretz that he said earlier. The Pirish Shal Tosfos Yom Tov Efshel Yashiv B'li Machlokes. According to the Tosfos Yom Tov, it's definitely going to be a Machlokes Yerushalmi and Bavli. You have no way out of it.